Achoo! Achoo! Nice! What a wonderful sneeze! Huh? You think so? You sneeze with pepper and... You sneeze with pepper and slip on a banana peel. That's basic clownmanship. Girly, I know you gotta understand that. Nick, I think I'd make a good clown. Other than Regina, I've never seen a cuter sneezer. Does Regina sneeze with pepper too? She does! Bat would always tease her with pepper. Bat? From my point of view, those two always look so perfect together. They look perfect together, huh? $22, 16, 21, 16, 31, 16. All three of these people are about to catch a case. Well, not bad, because, well. Let's get to let's get to fucking Acro. And bust his Cyclops next. Ah, Mr. Wright, back again, I see. Well, he did say I'll be back. Wait, or was that someone else? We're back because Acro's hiding why his legs were injured. He was hurt in the accident 6 months ago. It would seem that he knows that we know. Well, it seems you got things you want to talk about, so fire away.
Take that!
I have to ask you, how are you injured? I'm sorry, I thought we talked about this. It was an accident that happened during practice. An accident during practice. Yes, unfortunately, acrobats are prone to all sorts of injuries. He's lying. If that were the real cause, he'd have no reason to keep it a secret. Acro, are you really telling me that a practice accident was the cause of your injury?
Take that!
Leon. 6 months ago, you were attacked by the lion. That's when you were injured. I know I'm on the right track. I just need to keep going. You're saying that I was attacked by a lion. That's what I'm saying. I'm sorry, Mr. Wright, but I'm an acrobat. I'm no animal tamer. If a lion was coming at me, I'd be running for the exit. Or maybe attack. Okay, maybe attacked is not the best word to be using. So let me rephrase that as battled the lion. You seem to enjoy telling jokes. Why would I decide to battle a lion? Because you had to fight it. You had to fight it to save someone.
Take that!
Bat. It was a shame what happened to your brother 6 months ago. You know, Acro kinda has the same expression that my brother has. You tried to save him, didn't you? And that's how you got that terrible injury. Mo, he must have told you. Yes, we learned about that from Mo. But he didn't mention anything about you in regards to the accident. I suppose it was just a slip up with the tongue on his part. That's how I figured it out. A slip with the tongue. Anyways, they were an incredible team, cut down together in their prime. Cut down together. That was where he slipped, and that's how I figured it out. You two ended up at the center of the same accident together, like always. I see. But an accident is an accident. It wasn't anyone's fault. I still haven't broken Acro's last Cyclock. This must be one incredibly deep-seated secret. It wasn't anyone's fault. Do you care to explain more? Acro, I know you are still hiding something from me. Maybe someone you don't seem to like much is the reason you're being invasive.
Take that!
Regina. You always seem calm and collected until you start talking about her. Saying things like she is cruel. Well done, Mr. Attorney. You've got quite the set of eagle eyes. You know, her tiger tried to attack me. Regent tried to attack you. Twice. It wasn't serious, I'm sure. You're not trying to insinuate that I believe she spurred on Leon to attack Bat, are you? Leon was never taught a command to attack people. Regina isn't capable of doing anything like that. Besides, Regina had no reason to want to hurt my little brother. Regina and Bat were such good friends back then. But you still hate Regina. I've got proof of it. What? What are you talking about? Oh, maybe I overdid it again. But if I can hand something over to Acro, maybe it'll...
Take that!
This... Where'd you get it? Regina posted it on the bulletin board in the cafeteria. Before that, it was in her pocket. I guess I noticed it was in there around breakfast time. I always take Acro his breakfast in the morning. You wrote this, and then you put it in her pocket. That's right, isn't it? That's right. Well done, Mr. Wright. My legs were injured by Leon. 6 months ago. My younger brother, Bat, had a dare with Regina. A dare. An absurd dare. If I can put my head inside of Leon's mouth, like you do, you have to go to the movies with me on a date. That's insane. Didn't he know how dangerous that is? We all thought he was being stupid, too. But that line was very old to begin with, and age brought with it countless experience in doing that very trick. Unfortunately, this particular time, I guess Leon wasn't ready or willing. And that's when the accident happened. He just wanted to take her out to the movies. Poor Bat. Yes, poor Bat. When Leon chomped down, I jumped toward him. Then Leon attacked me, and that's how I ended up... What about Bat? He's still in a coma. I went to the hospital yesterday to visit him. I see. I'm still waiting for him to open his eyes again. And that's the reason why I keep going. Bat and Regina, they were such great friends. Oh yeah, I wanted you to take a look at this. What is it? This is the scarf my brother was wearing when Leon attacked him. Gross, it's covered in blood. This scarf. It was a present from Regina to my brother on the day of the accident. When he did it, he looked like he was smiling. See? Leon, obviously. Oh. When he bit down on Bat's head, the expression on Leon's face looked like a grin. Nick! I know, most of the same thing. What do you think it all means? I'll be taking that scarf, if you don't mind. Miss Von Karma! I've already heard everything, so hand over the scarf. But the scarf is evidence in the trial! That's for me to decide. I think we should begin our preparations now, Acro. Preparations? I've served a summons to Acro to appear in court as a witness tomorrow. Acro, we'll talk more at the prosecutor's office. Acro, a witness? Come, Acro, let's go to the office. Yes, ma'am. Now what do we do, Nick? How are we going to handle tomorrow? Don't worry about it. I'll figure something out. Look at you all full of confidence. You must have found something you can use. This is all beginning to come together now. You know, I hate the investigation portions of these games because they're so fucking long, and I can't get them all done in one episode. Good morning, Max. Oh yeah, good morning, sweeties. You don't seem like your usual sparkling self today. I'm always like this before I go in front of an audience. I'm working up to it. Hee Don't get nervous, Maxie. Here, have a glass of milk. Regina! How fabulous, my sweetie pie princess! You came to watch my performance today? Of course I did! Mo told me that I should come and watch this. Mo said that? So what kind of performance will you put on today? Let me guess, you'll fly at the end? It's not that kind of show. Isn't that right, my sweeties? Huh? I think my sweetie pie princess doesn't... Yeah, she doesn't seem to realize what's going on. Even where she is. Well, Max, it looks like it's time to raise the curtain. I'll see you later today. I'm just a member of the audience. Fabulous. Enjoy yourself out there. Good luck, Max. You're the best. Oh, so sweet. Regina's different, don't you think, Nick? Top of the morning to you. Everybody, let's get ready to get stuck in legal limbo. How low can you go? Mo. Top of the morning to you, Governor. Top of the morning. That's the ticket. Attacking the day starts with energy in the morning. The early bird gets the worm, but then again, worms lack higher brain function. Here, Max, I brought you a present. Have some milk. Oh my, thanks. Why would you bring Max a present? So how are you today, Wright? Well, I've got the feeling that today I'm gonna face off against the real culprit. You mean Acro? Huh? You think he did it? Be careful. He's used to putting his life on the line. Literally. He's got guts to spare. If all I've got to worry about is how thin the tightrope is, I'm used to it already. It just means that I won't be able to press him like I can other witnesses. What are you gonna do then, Nick? I guess today we'll just have to do without our usual psychological warfare. Today we rely on evidence. It's the only way we'll get past Acro and to the truth. You're right, but it's gonna be tough. Anyways, I want you to make sure that Regina sees it all today. It's important. Then she'll finally have to deal with the reality of what happened to her father. Aw, you want us to make sure Regina watches? Yes, that's why I brought her here to court today. What's that supposed to mean? She needs to know that when people die, they don't just become stars. I may be old-fashioned clown, but I don't believe in people becoming stars. Court is now in session for the trial of Maximilian Galactica. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Very well, Miss Von Karma, you may proceed with your case. The prosecution would like to revise its previous theory of events. What's the meaning of this? We have discovered a new witness, or shall I say, a new eyewitness. One that saw Maximilian Galactica fly off from the scene of the crime. Order! Order! I had a feeling something like this would come up. Due to this revision, we are now prepared to explain how the defendant flew that night. An explanation the prosecution will present if the need so arises. In fact, my detective stayed up all night creating a mock-up of the scene. On my orders. Poor gumshoe. Very well, please call your witness to the stand. Time to get to work, or shall I say time to walk the courtroom tightrope. Ken Dingling, but everyone calls me Acro. I'm employed as an acrobat at the very big circus. Where were you the night of the crime? I was in my room that night. If you look at the map, you will see the witness's room is near the crime scene. My room is on the 3rd floor. The crime scene is below my window. The night of the crime, the witness saw something quite shocking. Would you tell us what you witnessed? Okay. What I witnessed. It was just after 10 p.m. and I was resting in my bed. Around that time, I heard a large thump noise from outside the window. Then a few months later, I saw someone flying right by my window. It was Max Galactica. I only saw him from behind, but that's who it looked like. To be honest, when I saw that, I thought I was dreaming. This witness's testimony matches up exactly with that of the clown. If that's the case, there is very little the prosecution need add. All that's left is to explain how the defendant disappeared into the sky that night. Before we get that far, I'd like to cross-examine the witness. A foolish choice by a foolish fool who wishes to feel the foolish sadness of a sad fool. What is with you and the word fool? Fuck. A man must know the proper timing for things, Mr. Phoenix, right? Just like your old friend, Mr. Miles Edgeworth did. Mr. Wright, do you have a problem with the witness's testimony? Of course I do. In the words of Miss Von Karma, may I quote yesterday's proceedings? There's no way that actually happened. Very well, you may proceed with your cross-examination. What I witnessed. It was just after 10 p.m. and I was resting in my bed. Around that time, I heard a loud thump noise from outside the window. Oh wait, no, I gotta be pressing shit. I forgot. Then a few moments later, I saw someone flying right by my window. It was Max Galactica. I only saw him from behind, but that's who it looked like. The light in your room was turned off then, right? That's true. I was going to bed after all. So with the lights off, you were still able to clearly see a human fly by your window? The safety lights lit things up enough for me to see. But honestly, there was only enough light for me to see the silhouette of my window. It was the person's back, so I couldn't see the white roses on the front. Did you see any of the other symbols? I clearly saw the silk hat as well as the cloak wrapped around his body. I'm convinced that the person I saw is Max Galactica. The more I press him, the less results I seem to get. Maybe there was something fishy with his latest bit of testimony? There is a huge contradiction with the testimony that was just given. If there's a contradiction, then prove it with evidence. She's right. Let's see some evidence. Do you have any evidence to support your claim of a contradiction? What? You claim to have seen the exact same thing Mo saw that night. Do you stand by that? What do you mean? The silk hat. What about the silk hat? I saw it on Max's head as he flew by my window. Well, you should have tried looking down out of your window that night. That would have been quite difficult considering the state that I'm in. Just looking outside of the window was a tough enough challenge for me. That's a shame, because you would have noticed the silk hat found on the scene. That's the ringmaster's hat, right? Afraid not. No matter how you look at it, this is Max's silk hat. Where are you going with this, Mr. Wright? Are you saying that Max has two silk hats? No. This is a handmade, one-of-a-kind model made only for Maximilian Galactica. Which means, Acro, that you've been fibbing on the stand. Which means, Acro, that you've been fibbing on the stand.
Objection!
As always, it looks like someone just had to open their mouth before thinking. Are you okay, Nick? Well, I opened my big mouth, and now I have to back it up. How about it, Mr. Wright? What would cause this witness to commit perjury in this court today? Your Honor, on this occasion, the defense accuses Acro himself. On this occasion. Accuses Acro? What in the world are you accusing him of? Obviously, we accuse him of the murder of Mr. Russell Berry. We indict him. Mr. Wright, are you serious? Deadly serious, Your Honor. I think your trips to the circus have served you well. You seem to have learned how to try and grab at an audience's hearts and minds. Your Honor, don't allow yourself to be swayed by theatrics. Trying to wow the crowd with smoke and mirrors is the oldest bluff in the book. Really? If you don't believe me, just look at the witness. He's calm enough for it to be almost be scary. He is saying rather calm. The fucking hummingbird. And collected. Mr. Dingling. Do you have any responses to the defense's accusation? I don't really need to say a thing, do I? What do you mean? Everyone, take a good look at me. I can't even stand up by myself, let alone leave the lodging house. That's true. I understand that Mr. Wright is just trying to help his client, but to do this by accusing me of a murder of all things... See, even a sliver of common sense makes it clear the accusation is ludicrous. She's right. Way to pick on the disabled, you heartless, cruel man. Phoenix is a poopy head. Oh, great. See that, Mr. Phoenix, right? If you're trying to drum up report from the peanut gallery, that's how you do it. I think that's enough of this little game. I've got a doctor's note to confirm that Acro is unable to stand under his own power. Maybe the defense is planning on making a claim to counter this as well. I can hear the defense now. Acro had an accomplice. Now then, this must be when we get to hear the name of the mystery accomplice. Not this time, Von Karma. What? You're not gonna sucker me into this one. What are you blabbering about, Mr. Wright? There was no accomplice. Acro planned and committed this murder all by himself. Order! Order! What are you getting at? Way to keep them on their toes, Nick. Now I'm gonna have to prove how it all fits together. I have to show how Acro murdered Russell Berry. Can you do it, Nick? Can you really do that? Absolutely. I know what I can't do. I can't stop now. If I stop attacking, I'm doomed. Alright, now let's do it. Mr. Phoenix Wright, if this witness is the killer, then his eyewitness account is all lies, right? Mr. Wright, I'd like you to clear something up for me. When the crime was committed, exactly where was Mr. Dingling? Seeing as he couldn't leave his room, here. He was obviously here the entire time. That's Acro's room. Pretty simple, eh? Acro wasn't able to leave the lodging house by himself. In that case, there can be only one correct answer. Acro didn't leave his room to kill the ringmaster. What? Are you nuts? What say you, Mr. Dingling? It's an interesting theory. That's it? Considering that what you proposed is impossible, yes, that's it. Mr. Wright? Yes, Your Honor. As the witness has stated, your assertion is impossible. As he is in a wheelchair, there is no way he could go to the scene or be the killer. You've got a point. It seems you've forgotten once again, Mr. Phoenix, Wright. The defendant was clearly spotted at the scene of the crime. That's true. Most of it he saw Max, didn't he? But Maya, it's still impossible for humans to fly. Do you mind if I ask a question, Mr. Wright? What is it? I understand some of your logic. However, how do you think that I killed him? If I can't leave my room... I obviously couldn't wear Max's costume. How did he do it? That's the next course of this legal buffet. I know how you did it. Be careful, Nick, if you mess up here. She's right, I can't mess up here. I've got to give this one some serious thought. I'm sure that Acro killed the ringmaster. And he did it while he was in his room. No doubt about it. Time to enlighten us as to how Mr. Dingling committed the crime, Mr. Wright. I'm going to present some evidence. So what did Mr. Dingling use to commit the crime of murder against Russell Berry?
Take that!
What's that? A picture? It is indeed. The problem is with the item that's shown in the picture. The bust? It's quite a large bust, and because it is life-sized, it is also very, very heavy. Heavy. Heavy enough to guarantee a certain death. Especially if it was dropped from a third-story window. See, this is how Acro was able to kill the ringmaster. With the force of gravity and Maximilian Galactica's ample bust. Would you say, then, that he was killed by natural causes? Order. So, you're saying the bust fell onto the ringmaster? A rather simple crime. Even if you were stuck in a wheelchair, it would be incredibly easy to commit.
Objection!
How could you possibly wield a wheelchair with something so heavy? It's impossible. Well, Acro is an acrobat. He should have more than enough upper body strength to carry something like the bus. Mr. Dingling, how do you respond to these charges? Well, Acro's at a loss for words. He should be. He knows that I'm getting close to the truth. Well, Acro. God damn it. I'd watch what I say if I were you, Mr. Phoenix, Wright? What? Your Honor! The physical health of the witness is material to this case. I demand that we get proper testimony from the witness himself. Testimony, you say? One karma. She's just using this testimony as a ruse to stall for time. Is that how you spell ruse? No, I'm sure it's not. Pretty sure it's spelled R-U-S-E. There's absolutely no need for such testimony. The defense has its version of the murder, the prosecution has the right to respond. The defense's objection is overruled. Why can't he see things my way once in a while? Mr. Dingling, I'm sorry, but we need you to testify about your physical condition. If you have any doubts about your ability to testify, we can request expert testimony. The witness will have no problems. However, let's all be respectful towards him. Thank you. That woman will sink to any low to win a case. I suppose I could have lifted something the size of that bust. I have a strong upper body from working as an acrobat, and only my legs were injured. However, lifting the bust and looking out a window would have been impossible. There's no way I could have exerted that kind of force on my lower body. That makes it impossible for me to have known the location of the ringmaster's head. Thus, it would be unrealistic for me to drop the bust on him, don't you think? No, not really. Five or six. Not to mention that he... Oh, shit, I skipped some dialogue. Not to mention that he could not have known the location of the ringmaster's head. A single false step would have led to even more severe injuries. That's what I was thinking. What is your opinion on the matter, Mr. Wright? I'd still like to proceed with my cross-examination. He's simply stalling. It's shameful, really. I can't let her get to me. I've got to focus. Acro's physical state. I suppose I could have lifted something the size of that bust. I have a strong upper body from working as an acrobat, and only my legs were injured. However, lifting the bust and looking out of the window would have been impossible. There's no way I could have exerted that kind of force on my lower body. No.
Objection!
Acro, you didn't really need to lean out of the window, did you? What are you driving at, Mr. Wright? You already knew ahead of time where the ringmaster's head was going to be. Quite precisely, I may add.
Objection!
Your silly hinting at things is pointless, Mr. Phoenix, Wright. Enough stalling, how about you show us some evidence? But I did such a good job hinting. Yes, hurry up and explain things, Mr. Wright. Maybe you should take a look at this. The key point here is the wooden box. The same wooden box that the victim was found hunched over. The same. The question is, who placed the wooden box here? Who? When Ben and company saw the ringmaster, they didn't see him holding the box. Which means that this wooden box was already placed at the scene of the crime. I have to admit that your theory makes a lot of sense. The moment that the bust came falling down was exactly the same moment that the ringmaster lifted up this wooden box. Which means that the answer to all these questions is now crystal clear. You mean, if the bust were to fall upon the point marked out by the wooden box, there would be no way that it could miss the head of the victim. No. Order. Order. Order! This is unbelievable. Finally, some of these loose ends are starting to tie themselves up. Now you just gotta keep going, and there's only one way to go from here. Forward. So the next question I have is, who placed that wooden box at the scene? It was Mr. Dingling, of course. He connected it to a rope, and then all he had to do was lower it down. Allow me to whip some sense into you. Mr. Phoenix Wright. Ow! The ringmaster's head could have been anywhere when he lifted the box. That's why the box was so specially made. Specially made? Indeed. It had the most peculiar feature. The weight of the box, I believe. The box has remarkable weight. Weight? According to the court record, it weighs 20 pounds. Just to lift up this wooden box would have required... Oh, I see. One would have to squat down, then lift it up with their body, wouldn't you say? That's exactly what I was trying to point out. The box is also very large. The box also has carrying handles on either side, doesn't it? That is correct. To lift up the box, you'd have to squat down. Which means that no matter who you are, your head would be in approximately the same place. Fool! Does he even bother to listen to me anymore? I've heard what you've had to say. I must admit, I'm shocked at your imaginative skills. Did you do it? Did you place this wooden box in the plaza? Mr. Wright may have a vivid imagination, but I could never have done what he's proposing. What? Mr. Wright, do you recall the original location of Max's bust? I remember. Of course I remember. It was on top of the table in the cafeteria. Then what happened to it? I'd like you to remember one important fact, Mr. Wright. I could not possibly leave the lodging house by myself. Ah, that means... You understand what I mean, don't you? I may very well have been able to drop the bust from my room. However, how would I have gotten the bust from the cafeteria to my room? You see, Mr. Phoenix Wright, explain that. Don't forget, you said there was no accomplice. Tell us exactly how the witness would have carried the bust from the cafeteria. He didn't. Yep, we definitely have a problem here. But this is no place to get perplexed. I've got to get my witness about me and prove how things happened once and for all. Alright, Mr. Wright, let's hear your explanation. How did the witness get the bust from the cafeteria back to his room?
Take that!
A monkey! Everyone knows money. He loves shiny objects of any size. Oh, like when he stole the ventriloquist's ring? So, are you saying the witness had a monkey steal the bust? Of course he didn't order the monkey to steal it. The monkey stole it on his own and then brought it back home. Home. Money lives in Acro's room. Acro's room? But the bust was bronze, wasn't it? Bronze isn't all that shiny. Maybe you should put the whip down sometimes and read the court record. Ooh, my, those are some very nice cards he's holding. Yes, and they are made of platinum. which is very shiny. What? Acro, Money is a strong monkey, right? It'd be easy for him to bring the bust back to your room. If he wasn't able to handle that himself, I'd be on the market for a new roommate. Order, order. I said order! Miss Von Karma! Where is the bust in question at this moment? I don't know. We're searching for it as we speak. This is a rather strange turn of events. But let's say that the monkey had not stolen the bust. What would have happened then? Well, in that event, something else would have been used as the murder weapon. Wait. Then you mean this bust was the murder weapon purely by accident? It's possible. Maybe Acro saw Money's mountain of stolen goods and thought to use one of them. Anyways, I think we've more than proven one critical fact. Namely that it was entirely possible that Acro was the murderer. Moron! Mr. Wright's argument was so circular I'm still a bit dizzy. However, his argument does hold water. There's no denying that. Ow! Don't seem so flamboozled, especially by this fraud of an attorney. Fraud? You've forgotten the absolute most important thing, Mr. Phoenix, right? And what is that? You should know. You forgot that your fraud of a magical client was spotted at the scene of the crime. There's no reason to doubt the clown's testimony. That's true. How do you respond to that, Mr. Wright? Nick, don't let her beat you now. I won't. This is my chance to turn this trial around. When the murder occurred, there were two people at the scene of the crime. One was the victim, Russell Berry, and the other was the murderer himself. Answer this and only this, Mr. Phoenix, right? Who was the murderer the clown saw? Au contraire, mon frère. It does indeed have something to do with the question. Mo said that he saw Max's silhouette. But he did not actually see the man himself. It wasn't a human being he saw. How is that possible? It's simple, really. What Mo actually saw that night was Max's bust. What are you talking about? Have you tried using your brain at all in this case? The silhouette he saw was wearing a cloak. There's no reason why you couldn't attach a cloak to the bust. It would be easy to hang one off of the cards in the bust's hands. Idiot, who in their right mind would put a cloak on a bust? It doesn't matter who put it on the bust. Just wait a minute now, Mr. Wright. Who put the cloak on the bust? That question is of the utmost importance to this case, don't you agree? Oh, he caught me. So let's have it, Mr. Wright. Who put the cloak on the bust? Fool! Him? You were saying it was the victim himself, Russell Berry? That's what I'm saying. The victim himself placed the cloak on the bust. Placed the cloak isn't really the right way of putting it. And what would be the right way of putting it, Mr. Wright? Explain yourself! Nick, do you really have a handle on all of this? I'm fine, Maya. I'm finally putting all the pieces together. There's really only one picture I can paint anyways. Alright, so you want to know what really happened that night? Let's step back in time. Acro used a rope to lower the wooden box onto the scene. Then, he attached that rope to the bust, and dangled the bust out of his bedroom window, directly above the wooden box. At the same time, the ringmaster told Max to wait in his room and went to the scene. Of course, at the time, the ringmaster was wearing Max's costume. Perhaps he didn't want anyone to recognize him that night. But just as he feared, he was spotted at the entrance of the lodging house by none other than a ventriloquist and his puppet Ben and Trillo. When the ringmaster arrived at the scene, he bent over to lift the wooden box. And that's when Acro took his chance and released the rope. Now this is when the magic happens. At the very instant that the bust hit the victim, you wait just a second there, Mr. Phoenix Wright. As much as you try, as much as you scheme, this just isn't true. It can't be. It's still a little early to be getting so upset, Miss Von Karma. This circus isn't over yet. What? The impact of the bust on the victim threw the cloak up, which snagged onto the bust. That impact also caused the sound a certain witness heard, prompting him to take a look. That witness was, of course, Lawrence Moe Curls, the clown. When Moe looked out his window, the cloak had already snagged onto the bust. Now, having completed the crime, Acro naturally went about pulling up the murder weapon. Of course, he had no idea that Moe saw the bust being raised with the cloak dangling on it, primarily because in his wheelchair he couldn't see out of his window. So he just kept pulling the bust up. And that is how the magical murderer disappearing into the sky came to be. So you see, the only person who could have pulled this off is the one person who was able to drop the murder weapon from above the crime scene. Acro, it could have only been you. Acro's been playing mind games with all of us. He sure has. But he has come to the end of his rope now. So, what now? You've graced us with a rather long-winded tale. But do you have any evidence to prove that your fairy tale is true? Evidence? In this court, only two things matter. The power of evidence and the power of my whip, which you should definitely be getting arrested for 10 times over by now. Don't forget the power of my gavel as well. Mr. Wright, the prosecution brings up a good point. Can we see some evidence? Max, Nick, they say they want evidence. I just explained how there can only be one possible murder method, but there's still something unusual about Moe's eyewitness account. Unusual. A contradiction, actually. Okay then, use that and get us out of this jam. That's enough talking amongst yourselves. Proceed, Mr. Wright. You got it. I want a hard proof that you have unraveled the trick to this magic case. Try again. What? Oh, shit. Ah. So, okay, I for some reason I thought it was, for some reason I presented Max's bust. The problem is Max has 3 symbols. You know, the silk hat, the cloak, and the white roses. Those symbols were a problem numerous times during yesterday's proceedings. Yesterday, there were 2 contradictions in Moe's testimony. The silk hat was one, the white roses were the other. But the theory I just presented explains all these contradictions. You fool, do you ever shut up? Max's silk hat was found at the scene of the crime. However, remember what Moe said yesterday. He testified that the criminal he saw fleeing the scene was wearing a silk hat. There's only one explanation for that. The silk hat that Moe saw was actually the bust's. Makes sense if you look at it that way. Then he did see the silk hat, well, sort of. Fine, you've got one, but what about the other contradiction? The other contradiction Remember what that ventriloquist said in court? He said he witnessed white roses on Max's chest that night. But the clown's testimony doesn't match. The clown said that there were no white roses. I'd like you to see you try to explain that one away. Can you do it, Nick? Of course I can explain all of it. What was that? Please recall the instant when the cloak snagged onto the bust. If the cloak snagged onto the bust, what happened to the white roses? Do you get it yet? If the cloak got snagged onto the front of the bust, it means that the white roses would end up on the back of the bust. Which explains why Mo didn't see them. The white roses were not visible because they were on the back side of the bust. Order! Order! This is quite the shocking state of affairs. Mr. Wright's theory still sounds a bit absurd to me. However, let's just keep going down this road for a while and see where it leads. Let's do this, Nick. Then maybe Von Karma will finally throw in the towel. Well, so much for that theory. Mr. Wright, do you mind? What is it? You took the time to research our circus, didn't you? Well, yes, I did. Is there something I'm making you think that I didn't? If you did, then maybe you'll understand why I think you're off track. Why is that? Motive. This witness feels an incredible debt of gratitude towards the ringmaster. Anyone with any relation to the circus is well aware of this. Thus, there is absolutely no way someone like this would kill the ringmaster. Fucking finally. Sorry, I had something stuck in my teeth. Your Honor, I'd like you to hear Acro's story. Learn about his relationship with the ringmaster and his life up until now. But what do we do? There's no doubting that Acro deeply respected the ringmaster. Acro's motive. It seems that this case isn't over yet. Very well. However, I feel this is a good place to take a break. I will listen to the rest of Mr. Dingling's testimony after recess. This court will now take a 10-minute recess. Alright, I'm going to end this episode here. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed. Please subscribe. Leave a comment if you want to see more of anything else from me. And I'll see you guys next time. So next time, my name is Lucky Mayo, and I am signing off.